States already on a list, and the list was put together by President Obama and his State Department. And these are countries which are known as countries of concern, which again cannot vet its own people. So we need to provide that extreme vetting. And all we're talking about here is a 90-day pause in the case of these 7 countries. That's all there is. And is that now worth it for America?
I can name 43 Muslim-majority countries, Boris, that are not impacted by this ban in any way, shape, matter, or form.
That's right. Including
the most heavily populated in the world, not impacted in any way. Boris, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sean, thanks so much.
Joining us now with much more on this, the editor-in-chief of LifeZette, Fox News contributor Laura Ingraham, and from the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow is with us. You filed an amicus curiae in this case, an amicus brief in this case. Are you as shocked as I am? I felt that you put in issues in your brief that the government and the Department of Justice representative that was arguing they should have been using, that they didn't use. Did you see information and law left on the table here?
I did. You know, look, I think this is a really clear-cut case. The lawyer for the Department of Justice was asked the question, are you saying this was from the judges that the president has the authority to do this on his own initiative? Is this his authority exclusively? And the answer to that question should have been immediately yes. That's what the Constitution says. That's what the statute says. But the Department of Justice lawyer hedged for a long time, and then they, as you just mentioned, they adopted this fallback position that, well, if you think it's overbroad, and I've done overbreadth statute cases at the Supreme Court, you could strike down part of it but uphold part of it. That is not the way you do this. The way you go into this case is the president had the authority to do this, period. The court may disagree with the policy, but that isn't the legal issue. The legal issue is, does the president of the United States have the authority statutorily, constitutionally, to make this determination, this, as the statute says, this proclamation to put in place what he did here? And the answer to that is absolutely he does, and it's rather unremarkable.
You know,
I mean, this is not a big issue, but they made it one, and
and let me go to Laura. There were really a very simple issue before the court. Did the president have the authority? I just put up the law. It's very clear constitutionally. The legislative branch gave him the authority. It's his #1 job as commander-in-chief. Did the judge have the authority to put the ban in place? Beyond that, well, the Ninth Circuit judges asking these questions about, well, after 9/11.
It was frustrating to watch. This was a frustrating argument for a lot of us to watch, I think, because this Justice Department lawyer is a career lawyer arguing this case on the telephone. This clearly the Trump team was not ready, and Jay, I bet you agree with me on this, was not ready to defend this executive action in court. The petition should have been filed in every circuit court in the country within 10 minutes of this thing, frankly, being challenged, and we knew it was going to be challenged. They should have the petition already written for the Supreme Court because they know it's going there. And yet there seemed to be hesitation when he was asked about, well, what evidence did the president have to believe that these 7 countries? I'm thinking to myself, judges are now second-guessing the executive authority of the president of the United States, who is the commander-in-chief, and in whom the Constitution vests the power to handle these types of matters.
I was listening to the special counsel for the Department of Justice, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, where's the Solicitor General or Donald Trump even bringing in temporarily outside counsel, strong, disciplined advocates instead of a career DOJ guy that I didn't get the impression even did his due diligence in preparing for this case? Jay, I don't fault the administration.
What
I fault the Department of Justice.
Correct. I mean, it was painful to watch this. I mean, this was painful to listen to this argument. And it's because the lawyers didn't have their heart in it. And Laura's also absolutely correct. This is going to the Supreme Court. So none of these questions asked by these judges, including the ridiculous question about motive, you know, the answer to that should have been, when they asked that question, so what? What does that have to do with it? This isn't an evidentiary hearing.
Right.
This is a decision where a district court judge enjoined the president of the United States from something he has the statutory and constitutional authority to do. That is the only question there, and they just weren't ready. And I really do think the Solicitor General's office should have been in there. I know we don't have a confirmed SG yet, but there are career SGs that are familiar with the appellate process.
In that
this
sense,
was a
the
very,
Democrats
I'm sorry,
delayed.
not to be critical of other lawyers, but this was a horrible argument.
But this is important because the Democrats' purposeful delaying of the president even getting his attorney general in place or the solicitor general, in this particular case, hurt the president because now you have a career special counsel of the DOJ.
Right.
All right, let's talk about the next step. Knowing that the most overturned appeals court in the country is the Ninth Circuit, the most liberal. Let's assume they were to rule against the administration, which is a possibility, although I was a little surprised that their questioning seemed to favor the administration more than I would have suspected. But Laura, my question to you is, if they do not go with the administration, let's walk through the process. Doesn't it go to Anthony Kennedy? Justice Kennedy?
Yeah, well, yes, he's the justice in charge of the Ninth Circuit. So, and Jay, you could back me up on this. I mean, this is a big waste of time on the Ninth Circuit. They can go right to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
These are exigent circumstances involving matters of national security and the sovereignty of the United States, going right to the executive branch powers. This entire Ninth Circuit charade is not going to get them anywhere. They can go right to the Supreme Court. Well, I know it's 4-4, but I think they could win at this Supreme Court because this case is ridiculous, regardless of what people think of the underlying merits. Let me just add one more thing. I hope that, I would hope a Sotomayor would cross over on this, or a Breyer. But let me just say this. I hope the administration has learned a really important lesson in this. You do not issue these types of executive orders that you know are going to be hot without your legal team in place. You need Sessions, you need the SG, you need the deputy SG, you need a U.S. attorney in place. You need all your ducks in a row, and you need to make the case to the American people as to why this is necessary. I think a lot of this has become a distraction and an albatross around the administration's neck, and I think a lot of it is unnecessary.
All right, let's go to